Well, for more on Iran and some of the other topics that will be on the agenda today at that meeting with Netanyahu and Trump, I'm joined now on the line by Aaron David Miller. He is a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace in Washington, as well as a former Middle East analyst and a negotiator at the State Department in the US for both Republican and Democrat administrations. Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme, Mr. Miller. Thanks so much for giving us your time. So Netanyahu and Trump,
thanks for having me.
They will definitely be talking about Iran. Let's start with that. The Israelis don't trust Iran. They're worried that Trump might settle for a sort of bare bones deal with the Iranian regime. And Netanyahu clearly thinks that Iran is weak. This is the best time in ages to try to force it into a deal. Will they persuade Trump of that? Or is that already Trump's thinking?
No, your analysis is absolutely correct. If this were 2015, the Israeli prime minister, as he did, would have had much more influence. Then it was a Democratic administration. He would have appealed and did appeal over the heads of Barack Obama on the Iran nuclear deal with the Republican Party. He addressed a joint session of Congress. Right now, Netanyahu, frankly, has very little influence with the president. Trump owns the Republican Party, and despite some MAGA critics of his Israel policy, the party will fall in line behind what Donald Trump wants. So Netanyahu's capacity to influence Donald Trump on this issue, I think, is pretty small. I think, and I think you're right, that his saving grace will be Iran's unwillingness to accept either clearly what terms the Israelis want, and I suspect what the Americans are proposing as well.
What do you think is Trump's thinking? And, you know, further back in January, when all of those demonstrators were out on the streets and Trump said, help is on the way, keep coming out, you know, how important in any deal will be the idea of toppling the regime, or is that just simply too risky? What do you think Trump's thinking is likely to be?
You know, I think the president put himself in a box, unlike any of his predecessors, Republican or Democrat. In response to Iranian protests, he said things which, frankly, you could argue were morally and ethically unconscionable. He basically told the Iranians already in the streets to seize their institutions. He told them that help is on the way. He told them that we will hit you hard. You've got reports, in double digits of the number of Iranians that this repressive, murderous regime has killed in these demonstrations. I think Trump's in a box. On one hand, he does not want to end up like Barack Obama on the chemical weapons red line issue, when Obama in 2012 basically said the Assad regime's use of chemicals was a red line. But on the other, I think he's very wary of the prospects that the Iranians, now desperate and under great pressure, might strike an effort to regionalize the war, which is something he doesn't want, and the people he cares most about, the Qataris, the Saudis, the Emiratis, they don't want this either. So he's in a box now. And frankly, I would argue to you the prospects of a deal, a significant breakthrough agreement, are probably very small. He's got this huge deployment of American military hardware out in the region. I suspect that the balance is leaning in favor at some point of military strikes.
And what about the position of countries like Turkey, for example, on that? He listens to Erdogan a great deal as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another great fear, of course, that the Israelis have, that Mr. Trump is listening to Erdogan when it comes to Gaza and Erdogan's support for Hamas. So there's a complex of issues that they're going to talk about. Let's keep one thing in mind, though. This is the 7th meeting of an Israeli prime minister and an American president in the first year of an American president's second term. That's extraordinary. It's almost as if these meetings have become routine. And frankly, that's why I would not look for breakthroughs in this meeting, and I certainly wouldn't look for breakdowns. They still need one another. They may not trust one another, they may not like one another, but their relationship is clear.